Hello, my peeps, and welcome to another power-packed Phillips podcast. Before we start our podcast,
please take a moment and read today's essays.
Today's podcast is going to be on lesson 6.3. We're going to work on solving multi-step inequalities. So please write down in your spirals, lesson 6.3, multi-step inequalities. No. There's no reason to. Inequalities are not that bad. They just look a little harder than they really are. If you would, I'm going to ask that you pause the podcast and copy down this chart. Please pause the podcast and copy down the chart. Please write down the inequality on the screen. -2, parentheses, c minus 1, parentheses, less than -22. And we are going to work it out together. If you remember that when you're solving inequalities, act like it's an equation. It will be easy peasy. So we're going to act like this is an equation, and we are going to do the distributive property first. So I'm going to distribute the -2 with c and the -2 with -1. -2 times c gives me -2c. -2 times -1 gives me +2. Remember that a negative times a negative is a positive. If the bad guy is leaving town, everybody is happy. I'm going to bring down my inequality sign, and I have -22. Now, I'm going to go old school. I'm going to do heart and stars. So, I'm going to combine like terms. So, I'm going to get my stars together on the same side. I'm going to bring the +2 over to the right. When I go across the line, I do the inverse, or the opposite. These will cancel. -22 minus 2 is going to give me -24. So now I have -2c, bring down my inequality sign, is less than -24. Act like it's an equation. They're touching each other. That means multiplication. I do the opposite, which is division. Divide both sides of my equation by -2. These cancel. Bada bing, bada boom. Now I have the variable c, -24 divided by -2 is +12. So we are going to bring down our inequality sign. But be careful, we have a danger sign coming up. That is not our answer. And if you say it is the answer,
Wrong.
you would be
Wrong.
We have a very important rule here, so please write down this rule. You must flip the inequality sign if you divide or multiply by a negative number. Once again, the rule that you need to write down is
it is very important that you remember when working with inequalities, you need to flip the inequality sign if you divide or multiply by a negative number.
Thank you for your help, Lord Vader. Make sure you've written down, flip the inequality sign if you divide or multiply by a negative number. So this is what the crazy math teacher says. We divide it by a negative number. So I have to take this inequality sign and I have to flip it. Because I divide it by a negative number, I have to take this inequality sign and I have to flip it. Ready for a brain break? I am. So let's take one. Boy, I'm not sure the Cubs are even this bad. I think this is what you call a double epic fail. So what does this all mean? We have C, an inequality sign, and 12. You can think of this in one of two ways. My inequality sign is right here. If I go down to the chart, that is the greater than symbol. Or, I'll go old school, Pac-Man always eats the bigger item. So Pac-Man is going to eat the variable C, so that means that C must be greater. C must be greater than 12. Pac-Man eats the bigger side. So, what number or numbers are greater than 12? Well, 13 is certainly greater than 12. 14, 15, blah, 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 blah. But if I'm thinking of money, and I say, what's greater than $12? You could say $12 and 1 penny. Someone else could say $12 and 2 pennies. So, this is what we're going to do. To graph it, you're going to draw a number line. Anywhere on the number line, it doesn't matter. Please put the number 12. So I'm just going to put my number 12 here. What numbers are greater? Well, 13, 14, 15, blah, 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 blah. Just throw a couple numbers down. And if I look at my chart, if it's greater or less than, I have an open circle. So I'm going to put an open circle above 12. The open circle means I do not include 12. But notice, $12 and 1 cent is greater than 12. That'd be like right there. $12 and 2 cents would be greater than 12. That'd be like right there. So I am just going to shade the number line going to the right because all of these numbers are solutions. Another way that you can check it, if we move our Pac-Man, look at the direction that we shade. Look what happens if I come up here. It's a perfect fit around the direction that I shade. So for example, visual people, if the problem ended up looking like this, then I would simply shade this way. Alright? I told you inequalities aren't that bad. They're really not. Thanks for watching. And
Goodbye.